Day 3 started like a typical morning in the Platte River Valley that quickly changed into a day I will never forget.
Well, good morning. It's Thursday, the 5th of April, day 3 of my Sandhill Crane photography trip. It's a nice brisk morning, not nearly as cold as yesterday morning. Got some nice blue skies, about 15 minutes from sunrise over here to the west. There's cranes flying by already. There's been a few big lift-offs of cranes. I don't know if an eagle scared them up. It seems a little bit early for the cranes to be lifting off. Got some pheasants and turkeys making noise over here in the grass. Just an all-around beautiful morning. Plan is to stay here, photograph sunrise, silhouette the cranes come in front of the sunrise. There's a few clouds that are breaking up. It should be a nice sunrise, about 15 minutes or so. My other plan was to maybe get some cranes coming into the sunrise, have that nice warm light on their face. There's a pretty decent moon up there, although it's, I think, just small enough that I don't think cranes flying in front of it will be that nice. The only other thing kind of weighing on me right now is a local just drove by and told me there was a dozen whooping cranes right up here in the river, right off the side of the road. And it's so hard to believe, but what if he is right? You know, he said he didn't know for sure what they were, but he said they were a dozen, they were white, they were big, and they were right there, not too far off the road. So do I give up this sure thing to go over there in case there's a dozen whooping cranes? It seems hard to believe. It seems a little bit early yet that they would be here, but you never know. So I will probably run over there at some point. How quick, I don't know. But that would be an awesome thing to see if there was a dozen. I've never seen a picture in Nebraska either where there's a dozen together. I've seen 2 and 3 and 4, but never that many. So kind of on the fence on that one, but I'll sit here and watch this beautiful sunrise and kind of decide what I want to do from here. Other than that, it's going to be a great morning. So my normal plan of attack here would be track birds from the left of the sunrise across the sunrise and kind of get the birds when they're, you know, composed in the scene there with the sun. The one problem is the cranes are everywhere but flying through the sun. There's a few flying way off in the distance, but not close enough where they're really gonna make an impact in the picture. I can hear tons of them on the river still, and you know, this late in the season they do stay on the river later, so maybe that's part of the problem this morning. Sunrise was really neat for a few minutes, but it's really dissipating fast. The light is getting harsh fast, so if the birds don't start moving this way soon, I am gonna make it easier to run down there and look for those whooping cranes real fast. It's only a 5-minute drive, so might be where I head here in a minute. Not very many birds out yet, but they are sure loud on the river this morning. So that guy was right. Underneath the center pivot out there, there's 4 whooping cranes. There was 5. I photographed them for a little bit, watched them for a while, and then all of a sudden one took off and flew straight south. No idea what was going on or why he left the others, but he took off. I got some decent photos of him flying overhead. He was pretty close. You know, they're a bigger bird than the Sandhill Cranes, so I think I got a couple nice photos of him flying over. Then I watched these guys for a little bit longer. they're sure not moving much. I even left for a while, came back. They're still in the exact same spot. Sometimes if you leave, they'll move, and then you come back and they're in a better spot. But they're not going anywhere right now. It's amazing to see. All the years I've been out here, I've seen one whooping crane, and then to get 5 of them in one photo. There's only 450 of them in the world that are in the wild, and to get 5 in one photo was absolutely amazing. Never expected that, but it's a real great way to end this trip. It's been a great trip, very, very successful. I've had so much fun, saw so many cool things, got a lot of neat pictures, so it's just overall a great trip, great way to end it. Sometimes in the morning light, you see Sandhill Cranes, and they'll hit the light just right, and they look real white, but they're actually Sandhill Cranes. So, since these whooping cranes aren't moving, I think I'm going to wrap up this trip, and I'm going to take the gravel roads for another 40 miles or so. Just, you never know what you're going to see. If there's some big group of cranes by the road, or more whooping cranes as I get closer to the east end of the roost. You never know, so hit the gravel, see what I can, and then start heading back towards Omaha. It's a beautiful day. I really enjoyed out here in Central Nebraska, so hopefully I get out here before next spring, but you never know. See what happens. I really wish they'd come closer. So it's 10 o'clock, and the 4 whooping cranes are now on the river. Right after I said I'm going to wrap this trip up and start heading back towards Omaha, a whole group of Sandhill Cranes got up. They were somewhere behind the whooping cranes where you couldn't really see them from the road. They got up and they flew right over the whooping cranes, and in turn the whooping cranes got up with them and they flew, and the Sandhill Cranes were just going across the road to another field. The whooping cranes circled all the way around. It was probably a mile and a half loop around, and then they went over on the far side of the river, and just when I thought they were going to take off to the north and that would be the end of them, they circled back around and they landed right here in the river. Perfect view. So I've been here for, I don't know, 20 minutes or so now, maybe a little longer, watching them, and they're just out there walking around in the water, pecking around for stuff, and it's been amazing. I never, when I started planning this trip, never thought I would see any whooping cranes, because I thought I was too early for whooping cranes, and I figured that other whooping crane that travels with the Sandhill Cranes, I figured he would have been long gone by now, but instead I saw him last night, and then I've seen 5 this morning. Although I kind of wonder if that 5th one that took off right away and that I haven't seen since, if he was the lone whooping crane that travels with the Sandhill Cranes. Because he took off and he went straight south, kind of by where the other whooping crane was last night. Now I think I'm just gonna watch these guys a little bit longer. I kind of hope that they take off out of the river. I'd like to get a couple photos of them as they kind of make their ascent, and then I would really start heading east, but I got plenty of time. I want to get back a little early and get cleaned up and download the photos and stuff, but when you got 4 whooping cranes on the river, you might just have to save some of that for another day. I watched the whooping cranes a little bit longer, and as I was getting ready to leave, the whooping cranes took off out of the river and headed north. I was able to get a few photos of them as they were leaving. Well, that's going to do it for this trip. What amazing 3 days it's been. Best trip I've had out here. I think this is number 14, and it's sure topped all the others by a mile. So thanks for joining me. Hopefully this video comes together and you actually see it. It's not the first video. It's not probably the second or third video that I've recorded, but hopefully this maybe be the first one that I actually put out there for people to see. It takes a little practice to get a hang of this, but I really want to document these trips that I do, just so people can see what what goes in behind the photo. You know, it's awesome to have a cool photo hanging on the wall, but there's a lot of story to tell behind the photo, and I think these videos would be a great way to show that. So thanks for tuning in. Time to hit the highway and head back to Omaha.